It's the end of February 2025 and the news just came that Boris Spassky, the 10th World Chess Champion, died. He was 88 years old. His career he was made famous by the fact that he played against Fischer in this match which was hailed as the clash between West and the Soviet Union, and he lost because Fischer in that moment was steamrolling everybody, and that in a sense made him famous. In fact, they also played another match in 1992. Now, I would like to remember Boris Spassky, a player that was clearly a great sportsman because he agreed to many of the Fischer requests, and why? Because obviously everybody at the top level in the time thought that some of his Fischer requests, were right. In fact, he did revolutionize chess since before Fischer nobody got that kind of money for a world championship. I think the prize in 1972 was like $250,000, while championship before were played for like $5,000-6,000, if I remember well. Please correct me. In any case, I think Spassky is rightly a figure of chess that we should celebrate, and so I decided to use this book by Grandmaster Zenon, that unfortunately he also died of cancer in 2024, I think in October, and so we have a chance to remember both of them. Grandmaster Zenon because he was a great teacher, a great coach, and a good player, a grandmaster, right? And Boris Spassky because he was this great world champion. I will use chapter 1, the game 1, because Grandmaster Zenon made like 50 pages of introduction to the Boris Spassky style, but they were all fragments of games, so I don't know if people like to see a fragment of a game. In game 1, Spassky plays against Geller, that is white. It was 1955, and here it says Spassky played his fourth USSR championship at the age of 18 in Moscow in February-March 1955. I don't know if you understand, guys, in that time a tournament could last a month. The list of contestants in this, the 22nd championship, which would also grant 4 places in the interzonal in Gothenburg, was impressive. Here were the world champion Mikhail Botvinnik, the future world champion Vasily Smilov and Tigran Petrosian, and several challengers for the world title from different epochs: Salo Flor, Paul Keres, Viktor Korchnoi, Efim Geller, Mark Taimanov, etc., etc. Okay? Spassky's debut was extraordinary. He shared 4th to 6th place with Botvinnik, Petrosian and Ilivitsky, only half a point behind the winners, Geller and Smyslov. Geller won the tie-break match. Not only did Spassky qualify for the interzonal on his 4th attempt at the age of just 18, he also defeated the winner. He was even playing on the latter's home turf as far as the opening was concerned. So, I don't know if you understand, guys, how strong he was, Spassky, because you say, well, we just have an 18-year-old that is world champion, right? Yeah, in today's world where you have coaches, you have a chess base that in a click you have 10 million games. We are speaking 1955. The war just ended 10 years before. Conditions must have been really harsh for everybody. So Geller starts with d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, and bishop b4. This is the Ninso-Indian defense, right? a3, bishop takes e3. By the way, for those who like the chess pieces, this is a chess set that is a copy of the one used in the Skopje Olympiad in 1972. So the same set that they use. It's really beautiful. Honestly, the rooks are very heavy, and also the knights are very, very heavy. So it's a pleasure to play on it. Okay. B takes c3. It is easy to agree with Kasparov's opinion that the Semish variation was fully in accordance with the creative views of a young Spassky. The two bishops, a solid center, and possibilities of creating an attack, even if the weak c4 pawn should perish in the process. Nevertheless, in Spassky's practice there have been few games with either white or black with this line. In contrast, this was Geller's favorite weapon with white. So if you want to learn an Ninso-Indian, clearly you already have a name, Geller, right? So c5, e3. I find, honestly, guys, I have had a long, difficult time to accept a move like this. And you say, why? Because it boxes in this bishop, and yet is the right move to play. Not only in this situation, for example, there is the Colley system that also use that move. And for me it's unnatural, because I prefer obviously to develop the bishop before this, but I have seen game after game in which it becomes not important because after it will be open. But I hope you understand my feeling about that move, because I'm sure you also have feelings about some moves, and you must start to ask yourself why, if you want to improve as a chess player. So after e3, knight c6 and bishop d3. Here Spassky played d6. The classical line is castle, okay? I honestly don't care to put you the note, and also there is another Spassky game against Tal from 1958 that I think I have in another book. Yes, I just confirmed that. Here Grandmaster Zenon put a game that Spassky played against Tal in the 25th USSR Championship in Riga. This game is a part of a great story in the beginning of this other book. So it's something that I will probably read, but it will take 1 hour probably. But it's a beautiful, beautiful story, okay? So I will not put this game that Spassky lost, and he was white, because eventually I will show it to you from the other book. After d6, white continue with knight e2, b6, castle, and queen d7. Black has the typical idea of assailing the c4 pawn with bishop a6 and knight a5. as well as preparing the queenside castling. However, the problem is that if black plays bishop a6 right away, there is queen a4. So this is something to keep in mind. Okay? So that's why you need to prepare it. Okay, let's go on. White played e4, and after which there is bishop a6, to which follow bishop g5. So here what is white trying to do is trying to damage the pawn structure with move like knight g3 and h5, or knight f4 h5. Okay, so that's what he's doing. Let's see, but obviously black plays castle on this side, so at this point you already know that the game will be kind of sharp, because if you think Spassky castle on something that white has a kind of semi-open file, and at this point I don't think white, again I didn't see the game, but I don't think white will take here, because why would you open a file in front of your king? I don't know, it doesn't make much sense, right? Okay, so let's see what happened here. So here white played knight g3, and Zenon put a dubious mark to this move, and of course there is a question: a dubious move? You just said that this was one of white's idea. And the answer is yes, it is, but it is also necessary to consider the opponent's intention and not just blindly follow one's own plans without evaluating the dangers involved. In this case, it was appropriate to change course because the opponent's plan is stronger and requires neutralizing at force. So it seems that Geller after this game improved white move, playing knight c1, and now if there is c takes d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, a4, knight c6, a5, b takes a5, knight b3, queen c7, and the bishop return back to d2. And it says that black now has a problem as an open position. So here he gives a game by Geller against Lisitsyn in Moscow 1955, so the same year. As you can see. So let's see what happens, okay? After 12 knight c1, Lisitsyn played knight a5. White continued with knight b3. And here it seems that black played a very strange move, which is queen a4. Why I say strange? Because this admit that your attack on c4 is not working. And why is not working? For the following reason, no? So as you can see, you need sometimes to pause the video and try to understand it for yourself. If I would be you, I would try to understand it for yourself, okay? So why he played queen a4 and he didn't play, for example, this move, bishop takes c4? It seems it makes sense, right? Well, it doesn't, because white continue with knight takes a5, bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, b takes a5, rook a b1, and the black king is not going to be able to resist the attack. Okay? And if you don't believe it, obviously do the following exercise. Play this position, you will be black, against an engine, and that will definitely clear your mind because in a couple of moves it will probably destroy you, like every engine is able to do. So now that we have seen that knight c1 was a better move and plan than knight g3, and also that Geller was able to immediately find the best move. We are in 1955, Geller didn't have access to computers, so he had studied by himself, or if he had a coach, trainer. Notice that in Russia the sport was very, very followed, like soccer in Italy, for example, and so even the fan base, like Geller, Karpov, Spassky, they all had people who just love them as soccer players also, and they would send them ideas for their opening based on what they saw in the game. And so can you imagine how hard it was for Fischer to actually beat this kind of system? Okay, let me go back to the position. Okay, finally, for one time it was very easy to return to the position because there is a diagram right in the place. Otherwise, it's generally impossible, in the sense that I have to return to bring all the pieces back and then start and go for the moves to be sure that I don't make mistakes. Okay, here it says, how should black continue? So, white just played knight g3. What do you think black should do in order to refute this move, no? What do you think black should do? And the answer is h6. And here it says, fourth things fourth. White was threatening knight h5, right? So black releases the pin, forces the bishop to take a decision. But he also wants to show you one thing. Let's say that instead of h6, you thought this was the right move, right? C takes d4, and it's not good. Here it shows that the right move is c takes d4, okay? And let me show you the correct series. C takes d4, knight takes d4, knight h5, knight takes h5, bishop takes d8, knight f4, and bishop g5. Okay, and black will have only one pawn for the exchange. But now let's return back to the position it was, okay, because we are kind of curious, right, to see what happens. If instead, after c takes d4, white plays this, knight h5 right away, no, instead of c takes d4. In this case, black takes, bishop takes, knight f4, bishop g5, knight takes d3, queen takes d3, and now there is d5, saying that black is gaining 2 pawns for the exchange. So why you remember, you cannot take this because there is this, but also if you take that, there is that, right? So it's kind of problematic. And then there is that kind of skewer. So I guess this is the reason why in that case knight h5 not so good, right? Compared to take back right away. Now let's go. Okay, I was able to put the pieces back as they were. Like always, there are some mistakes when putting them back. Also, if it's a position that is easy to memorize, yet the pawns are tricky. What is black playing right now to show that knight g3 wasn't the best move to play? Black plays h6. After which there is bishop takes f6, g takes f6, and knight h5. Yet Zenon points out that a4 was an interesting option with a lot of complication and give a line where pawns are exchanged in the center. Now you must understand, when there is this kind of tension, sometimes it's important to exchange them, sometimes it's not, and so it's always a lot of calculation, a lot of calculation. But in this case, after knight h5, what are you going to play as black? I continue to ask you these questions because, one, you put yourself in Spassky's shoes, two, you finally understand how difficult this position is. Why? Because he's attacking here, right? And so you would expect that there is only one move. Instead, like always, you see the difference between a grandmaster thinking and the average club player. The average club player will just defend the pawn, the grandmaster will attack somewhere else. And he played c takes d4, okay? Now white didn't play knight takes f6, that's the fact, and that should make you think about. He played immediately c takes d4 and was followed by knight takes d4, knight takes f6, and then now he plays queen e7. Now white has a difficult choice to make. This position was analyzed for quite a while, and one grandmaster, Sokolsky, arrived to suggest that the best move was knight g4, but it seems is not even the best move. The best move is something you would not imagine at all. Okay, and I want to show it to you because it's a move that I don't think you would find for white, honestly. The move is knight d5. Why is a good move? Because after e takes d5, c takes d5, here white regains the piece with equal chances, okay? So here they think of playing only bishop b7, and they don't tell us what would happen if you play this. The problem is that this thing it doesn't have any square to go, okay? So you take back and then it still doesn't have anything to go. The advantage for white is probably that he gained one pawn. The line given by Zenon is bishop b7, queen a4, knight f3, g takes f3, and queen f6. Okay, and here he says that there are equal chances in this position. Well, I don't know. Honestly, it seems kind of risky also for white. Maybe he should have gone a little couple of moves more to see what happens when the attack is carried out and how an engine defend everything, because obviously I'm sure that Grandmaster Zenon has used engine and found out that there is no success in this position. So let me return back and see from that position that we were before. Okay, I hope I got it right. So I show you that the best move was knight d5, but white played queen a4, which is dubious. And here Zenon asks you, how did Spassky show that 17 queen a4 is imprecise? Now the funny thing is that I think there are only two moves that you can play. One is king b7 and the other is bishop b7, right? Because it's attack, so you gotta move it. And the right move is this, bishop b7. Obviously buy the book and you will find the note that explain why, or get an engine and it will tell you why. But what's most important is now what white plays, because it seems that if you play queen takes a7 is not so good, and here there is a big note about this, and I think we need to see it, because in the game white played knight h5. Instead, let's see what happens here. Queen takes a7, because obviously you want to see and understand what's going on, right? There is queen takes f6, and here white is not able to have a final attack because it's too slow in a sense. After queen takes b6 there is a beautiful move for black. Can you see it? Again, as you can see, these things probably were calculated by both players, so it's not a joke. They both saw this because they were playing top chess in the time. The move is knight f3. Here you cannot take, because otherwise there is rook hg8 and there is a mating attack and it's over. What you can do is king h1, right? After which there is again this queen f4, because it's trying to give you a checkmate here. And of course, boom, he can play this g3. And then there is queen g4, rook a b1, finally he has the time to attack there, and there is rook d7, saving that bishop, and now there is queen h3 that should be winning, let's say. Why it's winning? Because in any case black has one piece more than white, so that's the reason. Now here there is however a big note that covers also other moves by white, so Grandmaster Zenon has done the homework for us. But you can do it for yourself if you really want to improve. Okay, now let me go back to the position so we can continue to watch the game. Okay, so I think I put it right. We saw why queen taking on a7 didn't work, and White played knight h5. Clearly, as you can see, guys, here there are some big annotation, but the players during the game did their own homework and calculations, run deep. So that's a case for those who say, hey, classical chess is good because you have a long time control and they can actually work it out, compared to blitz that you cannot do it, right? Rook h g8. It's a great move, it says, because black has a semi-open file along which to apply pressure against the opponent's castle position. He also has a sniper. Who is the sniper? The bishop on b7, because as you can see, once you eliminate this, this is the next one, right? Okay, so what did white do? White admitted that the idea of attacking there is not working, and so played queen d1, probably because he's afraid that there are a lot of forces that are all going toward the king, right? So what would you play now if you were black? Again, try to pause the video and find the right move. Why? Because this is the only way you will learn chess. And notice, however, there is an exercise by Grandmaster Zenon that says, how did Spassky increase the pressure on the king side? I didn't read, I'm sorry, I didn't read the question before, but to me it was logical. I mean, you have this, you needed to find a way, to make it work. And so this is a great lesson of attacking chess. The move is f5, and now the bishop on b7 begins to have something, right? Here it says that the best move is rook e1 because f3 would lose. So try to see for yourself why f3 would lose. And black now puts even more pressure on e4. What do you think black played? Black played queen h4. Okay. To which white played f4. It seems that g3 is not really working. Okay. So what do you think is gonna happen here? Because you see, g3 in reality is not attacking this. Why? Because it's pinned, so it's not attacking it. However, here there is a note with the analysis. Try to do your own analysis what happened on g3, okay? In the game, f4 was played, and now black plays another great move. Try to find it out for yourself. I want to tell you that the move is not a tactical one. And what do I mean for a tactical one? I mean that now black can play queen takes e1. Why? Because queen takes e1, knight f3. Attacking this, checking, and taking the queen. Why you cannot take back? Because again, this rook is the one that is keeping everything, right? So the move is not queen takes e1. What would you play as black? Black played e5, and this is an amazing move because again he's trying to destroy all in order to win the game, right? So you need to destroy the skeleton of or the shield of bodyguard that the king has in front of him, right? And you need to open the lines. That's why. Rook c1, trying to counter-attack. E takes f4. Bishop f1. And And now black played the move that I told you before, which is queen takes e1. Queen takes e1, knight f3, king f2, knight takes e1, rook takes e1, and now there is a beautiful move which is f3. Why is a good move? Let me show you. After g takes f3, there is f takes e4, f takes e4, and at this point you see that the king is in the open, no? Totally in the open. Now also the black king is a kind of in the open, but there is no attacking force there. Instead here immediately he gets attacked with rook d f8, and he plays king e3. Now what do you think you would play if you were black? So try to pause a second and see what do you think you would play. The move is bishop takes e4. He cannot take because check, and he takes the rook, right? So at this point white tries something, right? Like bishop h3, check. But unfortunately black plays bishop f5, right? Bishop takes f5, rook takes f5, and here Geller decided to give up because he understood that he couldn't win and couldn't even recover. Here there is a note from Grandmaster Panno which says this game was completely worthy of a world champion, and who knows, was the Argentinian Grandmaster Oscar Panno prophetic comment in the April 1955 issue of the magazine Nuestro Tablero. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game of Spassky move by move. I think it's worthy to celebrate this great world champion that was also a great sportman, and of course also Grandmaster Zenon, which unfortunately passed last year. I will show more games from this beautiful book by Grandmaster Zenon to celebrate both the author, Grandmaster Zenon, and Spassky, who pass today, February, I think 27, right? Yeah, February 27, 2025. So thank you for watching and see you next time.